If you're looking for a distraction-free tech experience but aren't wanting to fully ditch a smartphone, could this be the device for you? Let's get into it. If you don't know me, I'm Spencer, and I like to talk about simple living, frugality, and ways to cut down on your technology usage, sometimes by using other technologies, like this little device I have with me right here, the CAT S22 Flip. So I've been using the CAT S22 Flip for the last few months on and off, and for the past month exclusively. Now you guys have seen me mention this phone here and there in the odd video, but I wanted to make a dedicated video talking about this phone specifically because I think this may be a great option for you if you're looking to ditch digital distraction but not leave all of the smart features behind. So the CAT S22 Flip is a rugged phone made for hard-working guys and gals. Now this phone is geared to construction workers, and CAT makes that very clear in the branding for it. This is a tough device. It is built to withstand drops, hits, splashes, and more. Now this thing's got a physical keyboard, a numerical kind, likely so people on construction sites could still operate it while wearing gloves. That's just a guess. But it's also packed with Android as its operating system, so you're able to get all of the features that you would expect to find on a normal smartphone. And for some of these reasons, this device has become quite popular in the dumb phone community. People looking for a device that's somewhat of a happy medium, somewhere between the digital minimalism of the punked MP02, a phone that I also have, and the feature-laden smartphones that so many of us find a little bit too distracting. This phone allows you the opportunity to disconnect just enough, but stay connected as much as you'd like. Dealer's choice, let's call it. Now you may be wondering if this thing is essentially just a smartphone packed into a flip phone's form factor, why is it any less distracting than the phone that I already have? And the answer to that question is in fact in the question itself. It's the flip phone form factor. You see, back when flip phones reigned supreme, the smartphone was nothing more than a twinkle in Steve Jobs' dome. And when the smartphone did finally arrive, the keyboard was gone and the big touchscreen of the iPhone took over the market. And that's what makes this device so much less distracting and so much less enticing to use. It's just ergonomically not that great. The screen is extremely small, and it's less intuitive to navigate a smart interface using a keyboard, especially a T9 keyboard. However, the screen is also a touchscreen, so you can navigate it that way, the way that smartphones were designed to be used. But even that is pretty tough just because of the size of the screen. I mean, I have pretty skinny fingers, I would say, for the most part, but I still find myself hitting the wrong button from time to time just because of how small that screen is. But guys, that's actually kind of why I love this thing. Because of the ergonomic issues with this phone, I find myself not using it for pleasure very often at all. I only get this thing out when I actually need it for something. And using the phone like this has brought it back for me to being more of a tool of sorts once again, rather than being an all-in-one entertainment center designed to distract. And I haven't really bothered installing any apps on here for pleasure. YouTube came pre-installed on here, and I've pretty much only used that if I need to watch a tutorial or something. And the only apps that I've actually downloaded for my pleasure has been Podcast Addict and Duolingo. And using the phone this way has changed my tech consumption habits quite a bit. When I want to access other apps for education or entertainment or whatever else, I'll use my laptop for those things. What I've found since making that switch is that I've been reaching for my laptop a lot more, looking to it to solve the problems that I would normally look to my smartphone to solve. But I'm okay with that because I don't bring my laptop with me when I'm on the go and I'm out. I bring this phone with me for the actual tools that it provides, rather than looking to this device for pleasure and entertainment. But now to talk about what those tools actually are. Now obviously the CAT S22 Flip can do texting and calling, like any phone should, and it has all of those smart features that you would find in a typical smartphone. But the other pre-installed apps that I've been using on this thing are Google Maps, occasionally the camera, and my email for accessing like QR codes and things that may be relevant for returning a package or even going on a flight. And the CAT S22 Flip does it all with ease. It does everything that I need my phone to do, and rarely do I ask it to do more. Now, very occasionally I do take a picture with this phone for strictly documentation purposes, like showing someone something. And yes, the phone does in fact have a front and back camera, which will produce, let's call it, retro results. But more often than not, I want to take a picture of something and I'll find myself thinking, This is gonna look horrible. Perhaps I'll just tell that person about it instead. I found that I've taken like 15 pictures the whole time that I've had this phone, and on my iPhone, I would have taken that many in just a couple of days. I also have a podcast app should I want to listen to something on the go and I just bring my phone with me, but normally I'll look to my iPod for something like that, or I'll even bring my portable radio with me if I just want to listen to something on the go. Now the CAT S22 Flip is sold unlocked, but it does come pre-installed with all this T-Mobile stuff on it. It's very easy to set it up with your own carrier. Just do a little bit of Googling and you can get it switched over, no problem. And speaking of carrier, I just want to take a quick moment to stop and thank the partner of this video, Mint Mobile. Look, you guys already know who Mint Mobile is. They're the folks bringing you premium phone plans for as low as $15 a month. Mint operates on the USA's largest 5G network, and they can offer you high-speed data and unlimited talk and text for cheap. Now you guys know that I like to live a pretty frugal lifestyle, and cutting down on the cost associated with your phone plan can bring about huge savings. Now I live in Canada, so unfortunately I can't switch to Mint Mobile. I'm stuck trying to find a deal amongst the highest prices in the world for mobile phone service. But you don't have to be. With Mint, switching providers can take as little as 15 minutes thanks to digital eSIM cards. But don't worry if your phone doesn't allow for eSIM cards, because Mint will ship you a standard SIM card for free. Check out my link in the description to see premium phone plans for as little as 15 bucks. Thanks very much to Mint Mobile for partnering with me on this one. I really appreciate it. Now let's get back to the video. Now for the objective downsides of this phone: the battery life and the sluggishness of the OS. Now I will say the battery life hasn't been a problem for me, but I have heard stories of people barely making it through the day with this thing. It does make me wonder if those people are using this thing like they would have used their smartphone in the past, because that level of usage just won't work on this phone. If you're using the CAT S22 Flip like you would use an actual dumb phone, and you use those smart features for needs and completely skip the wants, then I think you're going to get more than enough battery life with this thing. Now, I've been charging this thing about every 2 days, and that's making a few longer calls each day, texting a decent amount, and then using all other apps sparingly. But I think the point of this phone is to not use it very much, so you shouldn't be too taxing on the battery life. We're picking a phone like this so we can get away from digital distractions and not use our devices more than we need to. If you're just using it for your needs, your screen time should be pretty low. On my iPhone, I was getting like the lowest, probably a few hours of screen time each day. I was still using that thing. On the CAT, it is dramatically lower. Just looking at my screen time while I was shooting this video, it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon right now, and I've only used this thing for 19 minutes. The phone itself does run quite slow. Occasionally an app will freeze and I'll have to close and then reopen it, or it'll just be kind of sluggish or laggy. Putting a bit of a positive spin on it, it reminds me to slow down a bit myself, and it gives me that space to think, do I even need to be using my phone right now? It isn't painfully slow, but it is slow. But guys, the phone is like $90 here in Canada. It's like a tenth of the price of the average iPhone. So don't judge it too harshly on these grounds. The typing with the keyboard is fine. That may be why you would switch to a flip phone in the first place. I installed like a T9 specific keyboard app that gave me a better T9 keyboard to use while I was using it in that mode, and I switched to it quite often. But lately I've been finding myself, when sending text messages, using the little touch screen for sending those texts, just swiping to send my messages on the digital display, but still using the actual number pad for calls. And it's up to you, because either approach works just fine. But the proving ground for me was to find out whether this phone could work for me at my job. This was the final boss, so to say, which would determine whether I would keep this phone and whether it even had a place in my life at all. But the CAT offers a single phone solution where all of those smart features are available to you should you need them, but you won't really want to use them. So I put those smart features to work over the weekend at my work. If this is your first time visiting the channel, I work in the film industry, so I needed Facebook Messenger so I could access the show I work on's group chat, as well as I wanted to have Atomic Clock, which is an app for syncing time code to multiple cameras for the motorcycle racing show that I do as well. So far, the CAT S22 Flip has been just fine. I have no complaints. I don't know what I was worried about. I haven't yet tested it for controlling cameras remotely, and I suspect it would be a little sluggish in doing it. It might put off a little smoke in the process, but I do think the CAT S22 Flip is up for the task and can get it done at its own speed, let's say. So for now, the CAT S22 Flip will remain as my daily driver, and I've got to say I'm pretty happy with this thing. You've still got to want the relief from digital distraction to make this phone work, I think, because you're going to have to love and accept the quirks. Workarounds will be required. For example, I like to talk to my girlfriend over FaceTime when one of us are away on a trip. So instead, I just used my laptop as a solution and that worked just fine. And if you can do the same, find workarounds, perhaps new and better ways of doing things, then I think you're going to find yourself a lot less absorbed in your devices. I know I have. The thing is that people often have a list of key features that the perfect dumb phone must have. And it's a variety of smartphone apps. What I think people want is essentially a smartphone which isn't distracting. And I argue that this phone is that device. That's just about it for today, folks. My thoughts on this little device, the CAT S22 Flip. I think for the price, it's worth giving it a shot. I've cut my screen time down dramatically since starting to use this, and like I said, it's mid-afternoon right now and I'm only at 19 minutes of screen time. The proof's in the pudding right there, folks. I've linked the CAT S22 Flip in the description if you're looking to pick one up, and FYI, I did not receive this from CAT. CAT does not know I'm making this. I purchased this on Amazon with my own money, and I'm very glad that I did. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.